Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are keeping safe. Guys, I want to go straight into it. Guys, I've been getting a lot of messages, especially on Instagram, right? Asking me about what I think, all this stuff that Tyson Fury is coming out with. And some people think that AJ is scared of Tyson Fury and he doesn't want to fight him. Some of the Tyson Fury fans are saying that because Tyson Fury has recently come out and said that this fight's no closer, and AJ is scared to lose, and he knows if he loses, once he loses against him, he's not going to be known for being a boxer. Listen, I've openly praised Tyson Fury on my channel. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's got great skills. I think Tyson Fury, for me, personally, my opinion, he's the best heavyweight in the world. And personally, I think he beats Anthony Joshua. I've said it many times, and I'm not going to change on that opinion. And nothing's going to change my opinion, really, because that's just what I believe happens when there's a fight. I believe he beats him. But I will say this. Anthony Joshua may lose to Tyson Fury, but he's not scared of Tyson Fury. He's not scared of Tyson Fury. Believe you me, he's not. Anthony Joshua is a guy that's shown throughout his career he's willing to jump up and be great. He wants to be great. He wants to be special. Even though he might not be good enough. He might not be everyone's cup of tea. We might not think he's a Canelo or Mayweather. He's not. Someone asked me the other day that, is Anthony Joshua like Canelo? No, he's not in that kind of league. He hasn't got that kind of skill set. He isn't as good as those guys. For me, he's not a top 10 pound for pounder. He's not. There's better fighters in the sport of boxing than Anthony Joshua. A lot of fighters are better than Anthony Joshua in the sport of boxing. Even though he's a unified champion, right? For me, he's not one of the best fighters in the world. Like, I don't view him as I don't view him in the top 10 pound for pound. No, I don't. He's a good fighter, but I don't. However, I think he's always a guy that's shown throughout his career that he's willing to step up and take tough fights. If you look at his resume, if the other heavyweights that we think are the best, like Fury and Wilder, Anthony Joshua's got a way better resume than those guys. Anthony Joshua always steps up and fights tough competition back to back to back. He's proven that. I know people say, well, he's fought Parker and he's fought Brazil and he's fought Andy Ruiz and he's fought Povetkin. These guys are not killers. Yeah, they're not. I've said that I think the heavyweight division isn't stacked with killers. It's not. However, those guys that I just named, a lot of those guys are in the top 10. A lot of the guys that Anthony Joshua have faced are in the top 10. Ruiz, Parker, Vladimir Klitschko, even though he was old and past it, you'd have to say he was in the top 10 at the time when Joshua fought him. You couldn't name 10 heavyweights better than Vladimir Klitschko at that point. Or even 5. Povetkin, Dillian White. He fought Dillian White. I know Dillian White at that time wasn't in the top 10. It was a British level fight. But nevertheless, he still fought him. Dillian White, Povetkin, Ruiz, Parker. The guy's got a great resume. Joshua has a great resume. So for people to think that he's scared of fighting Tyson Fury, I totally disagree. Yes, he may lose to Tyson Fury. I personally think he does, right? But he's not afraid to take that challenge. He's not afraid to jump. He wants to be great. Anthony Joshua wants to be great. He wants to become undisputed champion. He's had that motto from the start of his career. He wants to be undisputed champion. Whether he becomes undisputed champion, that's another matter. But he wants to do it. He's been the one out of Wilder and Tyson Fury calling for the undisputed fight more than any of them. Tyson Fury's never been an undisputed champion. However, he's been a unified champion like AJ. But Tyson Fury is the only guy that's held every single belt in the heavyweight division. Joshua hasn't held the WBC ever. He wants to become undisputed champion. Anthony Joshua from the start of his career, right? When he first started fighting, Anthony Joshua's goal was to become undisputed champion. That's not a guy that, for me, that's not a guy. And when you look at his resume, that's not a guy that's afraid of anyone. And he doesn't come across as a guy that would be afraid of any fighter. He just wouldn't. He just wouldn't. Anthony Joshua, for me, is a guy that wants to be great. He wants to be great. Whether he'll become great, that's down to his skill set. That's down to how good Fury is. That's down to how good the guys that are in the opposite corner, you know. But in terms of him wanting to try to achieve it, Anthony Joshua wants to be great. So, to be honest, I don't think you can doubt Joshua and say he's scared. He's not. He's not. I've seen Joshua, the way he speaks. I've seen, you know, his body language. He's not afraid. You know, I think what tells you the fact that Anthony Joshua wants to be great is the Andy Ruiz situation. He got knocked out by a guy that he was huge favorite against. He dusted himself off, came back, right? After suffering a humiliating defeat against Andy Ruiz. And let's not get it twisted. It was humiliating. He was embarrassed. Many people accusing him of being a quitter, saying he quit. He came back, right? And I know people talk about Andy Ruiz's condition and the way AJ fought in that fight. But the fact is, when you've been humiliated and you've been knocked out and dropped 4 times like he was, right? Trust me, it's very, very difficult from a mental point of view to come back and beat the guy that did that to you in emphatic fashion, by the way. Yes, it might have not been a knockout victory or him going out there toe-to-toe, but he knew if he went out toe-to-toe against Andy Ruiz, right? Andy Ruiz has a granite chin. Anthony Joshua doesn't have a granite chin. He's playing into Andy Ruiz's hands, right? Because Ruiz likes to fight, and Ruiz is going to clip him again. He's got fast hands, and he's probably going to clip Joshua again, and Joshua's going to go over again. So Joshua wanted to make sure that he wins that fight. And the best way to win that fight was to get behind his jab, use his height, use his reach, use his legs, and just box Ruiz's head off. And that's what he did. He had to do that. So that in itself should show you how much bottle this guy's got. Because he could have easily said, you know what? I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to let Ruiz have the belts. I'm going to improve my game, and then I'll come again. Because Anthony Joshua could have done that because he was such a big star, right? Although he would be vacating the belts and giving Al Heyman all the power on the heavyweight division, right? And that would have meant, you know, potentially they would have made a Wilder Ruiz fight and they would have secured all the belts. I still think that Joshua, by doing what he did against Andy Ruiz, showing that, you know what, I'm not gonna go another path. I'm gonna take this rematch. I'm gonna beat him, and he did it, and he did it in style. He did it quite convincingly. So, to be honest, I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. I don't think he gets enough credit for that. So I just feel like to doubt Anthony Joshua in terms of him wanting to be great, in terms of him being scared of Fury. Nah, I don't see it. I think Tyson Fury's playing mind games with him. A lot of Fury fans think that Joshua is scared. I don't think he is. He might be fighting scared. He might be in the fight not wanting to get hit, wanting to stay away from, you know, getting hit. Yes, that in terms of in the ring, right? Some people say it's calling fighting smart. I just don't think he looks comfortable fighting the way he was against Pulev, and he wasn't looking comfortable fighting the way he was against Ruiz. And that's why when people say that, oh, you know, Lennox did that, Lennox did it with a lot more conviction than Anthony Joshua did it against Ruiz and Pulev. If you look at when Lennox had been knocked out twice, he did when he went, you know, when he fought David Tua, right? For example, David Tua was a powerful small guy like Andy Ruiz. Probably punched even harder than Andy Ruiz. Lennox Lewis, if you look at the way he boxed in that fight, look how he schooled David Tua. He did it with so much conviction, whereas Andy Ruiz Anthony Joshua didn't do it with the same kind of conviction. Anthony Joshua looked like when Ruiz got close to him, he was going to fall apart. Lennox Lewis was a lot more, you know, there was a lot more conviction in his performance. He did it a lot more emphatically, whereas AJ looked a lot more shaky. Do you understand where I'm coming from? That's when people say, well, oh, when Lennox did it with a lot more conviction when he fought David Tua. Joshua didn't look as good as Lennox Lewis did when he fought David Tua. Lewis looked great in that fight. So for me personally, I don't think AJ's scared of Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury is trying to get into his head, trying to get AJ to bite. You know, Tyson Fury's great at playing mind games. He's very unpredictable. You don't know what you're going to get with him. But there's a method behind the madness. And he finds a way to get inside your head. And I believe he'll find a way to get into Anthony Joshua's head. He's brilliant at it. He's brilliant at it. He'll find a way. And plus, he knows that Anthony Joshua's a good fighter. He knows that. He knows that Joshua can fight. I know he tries to make Joshua feel small, and he tries to say Joshua's useless, but I don't believe Tyson Fury thinks that about him inside his head. He might portray that to the media and to us, but really Tyson Fury, in my opinion, thinks Anthony Joshua's a good fighter. I don't think he thinks he's rubbish at all. He doesn't. You know, so I think he just says that to try to get into AJ's head mentally. I feel he looks at AJ and thinks this guy... he feels that he's mentally weak. He feels he can get into his head. He feels he can play those mind games and get Joshua to bite, and get him off his game. Confuse Joshua before the first bell. Tyson Fury is brilliant at doing that. He did that with Vladimir. He did that with what's his name, Wilder. Now Vladimir and Wilder are two different characters. They're completely two different guys. And to me, he got to both of them. Klitschko's more like Joshua, calm, collected. You know, Joshua probably can bite a little bit more than Klitschko, if I'm honest with you. If Tyson Fury talks a lot of smack with AJ, I think AJ will bite back a little bit more. I think Klitschko's the type of guy where he'll just sit quiet and just listen to what he's got to say. Whereas I think Joshua will probably bite back a little bit more. But neither way, I don't think you'll get... You know, you're not going to get Joshua throwing tables or effing and blinding. He's not going to do any of that. So yeah, I can't wait. Someone mentioned to me that this press conference is going to be pay-per-view alone. If obviously we have the same kind of press conference we did back in the day. I think there obviously will be a proper press conference for this, because you know the situation in the UK is hopefully getting better. I'm not. You know, there's no certainty at all. You know, things at the minute. You know, once the lockdown is over and people go back to normal life, you don't know, the cases might start to rise again. So we've got to have our fingers crossed for that. But I can't wait. I just want this fight to get announced. I am having doubts whether, you know, it's going to be announced or not. Hopefully it does. I really want this fight to happen. I really want to see Anthony Joshua v Tyson Fury. It's a monster fight. You know, Eddie Hearn described it as the biggest fight in boxing. Yeah, I'd go with that. It definitely is one of the biggest fights in boxing. And hopefully they're all going in the right direction to make this fight. When you hear Eddie Hearn speak today, and Eddie Hearn said, no, the fight's definitely happening, Tyson Fury will get his wish. Clearly, that's not a team that's trying to duck away from that fight. You know, Eddie Hearn and AJ are not trying to duck away. They know. Here's the thing. Why would they duck away from 100 million? When they know they're going to fight somebody else for maybe a 10th of that. Maybe a 20th of that. Right? And potentially could get beat. We've already seen Joshua get beat. We know he's vulnerable. We know that someone could beat him. So why are you going to risk that kind of money in a huge legacy fight that Joshua's capable of winning? So for me, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. If there's no obstacles in the way, this fight needs to happen next for both guys. This shouldn't be anything that stops it. But it's boxing, and we know boxing has hurt us many times before, and it may hurt us again. I hope not. I hope this time it gives us a lot of joy by making this fight. But let's see, man. Let's see what happens. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.